The Trump administration is lifting U.S. sanctions on Turkey. They were imposed at the beginning of Ankara's Operation Peace Spring in northern Syria. The U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement comes after Turkey agreed to suspend its anti-terror operation in the region. Washington's sanctions announced earlier this month had targeted Turkey's defense and energy ministries. The U.S. also froze the assets of the Turkish ministers of defense, energy, and interior and banned them from transactions that involve the U.S. financial system.
I've therefore instructed the Secretary of the Treasury to lift all sanctions imposed on October 14th in response to Turkey's original offensive moves against the Kurds in Syria's northeast border region. So the sanctions will be lifted unless something happens that we're not happy with.
Let's get more on this now from Jeffrey Tucker in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. He is the editorial director of the American Institute for Economic Research. Jeffrey, thanks for joining us on the program. These sanctions were imposed earlier this month, and now Trump has ordered them lifted. What impacts are we likely to see, if at all, to Turkey's economy?
Well, I think this is very good news if it stays this way. One of the problems with Trump administration policy, international policy, particularly as it affects trade, is that we keep going through these rounds of tariffs and sanctions and on again, off again. So it's creating a lot of trade uncertainty. And that's not what investors need. Business people really need a secure regime, a predictable environment to make investments. So I think that there's still some disorientation that's going to come from the imposition of the sanctions. Nonetheless, I think it's very good news that they're gone. I hope it starts a precedent with the Trump administration to get rid of these sanctions that are dividing up the world and not achieving any good for anybody, really.
Right, yeah, they really don't seem to achieve all that they're meant to. So do you think this signals an improvement in U.S.-Turkey relations, which have been strained for a while?
Yeah, maybe so. I hope so. Trump seems to have a little more clarity on politics in this region than he does on other matters. So I would like to see some improvement. The problem is that Washington is using this trade policy as a way of saying, oh, we approve of you, we disapprove of you, oh, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. Really, we need to get to a situation where we're just assumed that to trade with everybody, trade with the world. I mean, that's the old American tradition. That's what's good for everybody. You don't have to agree with all the politics of every country you trade with. But for the sake of human rights and for world prosperity, we need to keep shipping lanes open and stop with this sanctions nonsense. So I hope this is beginning of a change, at least as regard Turkey. As for China, that's another matter.
All right, Jeffrey Tucker, live for us in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Jeffrey, thank you for your analysis on that.